Assembly Joint Committee on Constitution Review has begun work on the creation of 6 new states, one in each of Nigeria's geopolitical zones, as part of its resolution in the ongoing review of the nation's constitution. When this is concluded, the number of states in the country will rise from 36 to 42, with the Northwest having 8, and the Northeast, North Central, Southwest, and South-South having 7 each, and the Southeast 6. The committee also resolved to establish a subcommittee to determine the specific areas from which the 6 new states will be created. Chairpersons of both chambers of the National Assembly, Deputy Senate President Barrow Jubrin and Deputy Speaker Ben Kallo, are expected to present the committee's resolutions when lawmakers reconvene for plenary. What does this mean for Nigeria at this point in time? This and more will be some of the questions guests on the program, Nigeria Today, will be providing answers to. I'm Ikaria Clinton. Welcome. Now, joining me in the studio for the conversation around the creation of the 6 new states is political affairs analyst, Dr. George Abakahe. It's a pleasure to have you on Nigeria Today.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it.
Also with us, but joining us via Zoom is a public affairs analyst, Dr. Aliyu Yero. It's a pleasure to have you on Nigeria Today.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure.
Okay, we can't seem to hear you. If you can hear me, probably you should try to adjust the audio there before we come back to you. Now, Dr. Abakahe, the state creation, there's been agitations here and there for this new state creation. So what are your thoughts about the state creation?
Well, I don't know. I don't know how to start with this issue of state creation. Before I start, we understand that there is a particular region or geopolitical zone in Nigeria that is being marginalized in terms of number of states. Southeast currently has 5 states, whereas other states in the Federation other states have 6, and even one in particular has 7. So if there is going to be any creation of state, I think my opinion would be that Southeast, will receive an additional state that will make it 6 before we start talking about creation of additional states in the country. Because look at it. We know that in Nigeria, for sure, there are 3 major ethnic groups. There is Hausa, there is Yoruba, and there is Igbo.
Dr. George Abakahe, I don't know if this actually will be the right place for you to, start this agenda, because a lot of persons that have this kind of feeling that you're having, they channeled their request to the National Assembly. I think it is for you to, write to them for this, for what you're saying. Okay. So let's just look at the issue and how this creation of states, of course, will benefit Nigerians generally. But before I come back to you, we have Dr. Aliyu Yero joining us. So, Dr. Aliyu, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Now, we have the creation of the new state, of course, the National Assembly Joint Committee. You have beamed a green light on 6 out of the over 50 requests that was presented to them. So what do you think about this?
Well, thank you very much. It is very important for us to take note of the fact that in the history of Nigeria, since 1960 to date, there has never been a situation where states were created under a democratic dispensation. Therefore, all states created in Nigeria were created under military regimes. So this will be a very important turning point in the history of Nigeria's democracy, that we have the opportunity today to see or to actualize the dream of many nations who are agitating for states to be created for them. Now, of course, this shows that our democracy is growing and that we have reached a stage where things that we thought would not be possible are becoming possible today. Of course, in the past, we have had so much other experiences that have showed that our democracy is growing. We have had for the first time the change of government from one party to another. So all these are good indicators. But the most important point to ask here is that will this state creation resolve the issues that bring about the discussion? Like your guest is saying, Dr. George, some of the reasons for the agitation is about minority issues. Will this resolve minority issues if you create one state in each zone? Because it
Challenge.
could be,
It's back.
yeah, state creation could be a good thing because it will make it will make the administration of people's affairs to be easier, bringing government closer to them, making social services available to the people. But then, are we ready to have a state that will only stay in one corner waiting for government to give money from the federation? Will these states be viable? Will these states be independent? Will these states have the ability to raise money to solve their problem, or they will be just like other states that are waiting for government, federal government, peanuts? So these are some of the most fundamental issues. Will the state creation resolve the reason or the problems or the agitations that led to this point we are? Of course, it's good for our democratic experience. It shows we are growing, but then will it solve these issues? And I doubt, because you give one state to each geopolitical zone, the balance that some people are asking for will still not be achieved because you give one state to each geopolitical zone. The geopolitical zone that is saying we have less states will still shout and say we are still short of one. So we are still back to square one.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Yero. There are some issues you raised there. Would speak to those issues any minute after now. Now, coming back to you, Dr. Abakahi. Dr. Yero mentioned, bringing government closer to the people. Now, how will the creation of a new state, improve governance? And of course, like he said, bring government closer to the people.
Definitely, that's, of course, one of the advantages of state creation. It will bring government closer to the people. It will increase, the number of senators, the number of legislators, and, probably the number of local government in the new states. But, there are also some arguments that he made, that is pretty valid, in my view. Some of these states we are talking about, what is their economic viability? What is the economic, can they be able to sustain themselves? Or are they going to be waiting for, federal allocation? These are all the parameters, we really have to take into consideration in the creation of states. But the argument of creating about 31 states, to me, I don't think is feasible. Listen, I think Section 8, Part 1 of the 1999 Constitution, he made it in such a way that it's a very rigorous exercise, to create a state in a democratic setting. For example, it has to go through the National Assembly, it has to go through the State Assembly, it even has to go through the local government level, and there has to also be a referendum. So this issue of state creation in a democratic dispensation, just like he pointed out, is not a very easy thing.
Now, just sorry to cut you short there. We keep talking about creation of states, creation of new states. Is it really about creating a new state? Because some have argued that it's not just about creating new states, but also improving governance in the existing ones we already have. Shouldn't it take precedence over creating new states?
Well, I believe personally that the current administration, has done a whole lot in improving, governance. It is common knowledge that, the allocation to states have tripled. I remember before President Tinubu came on board, the allocation to states generally was about 934 billion. But currently, as we speak, we are looking at about 1.8 trillion naira, on monthly basis. And this has made it possible for a lot of states, to enhance infrastructural development, education, and healthcare. So I think it's a very important point. The states we have so far, if the governors, the local government chairmen, can do a whole lot with the money that is being provided to them, I think there will be massive infrastructural improvement, health, education in the entire country. That's why when people start talking about federal government, the federal government under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has provided the enabling environment, to states. Look at in this current administration we are talking about, internally generated revenue has blossomed. Before President Tinubu came on board, FIRS was generating about, they were generating about 11 trillion. Now we are talking about 21.6 trillion.
Okay,
so a lot is being done by the president. So it's left for the states and the local government, to be able to manage the resources for the benefit of the masses.
Thank you very much. Now, Dr. Yero, you raised an issue earlier on the viability of the new states. Now, well, when you talk about creating of states, I want to believe, and I know you also know that it is not just creating states. We have structures, we have ministries, we have assemblies, and of course, the cost implication of, keeping these structures afloat. Now, we talked about viability of the state. Now, the existing states, how far? Do you know what I mean? So, creating new states, will it solve some of these challenges we already see in the existing states?
I'm afraid the answer will be no, because already the existing ones we have, very, very few of them, maybe 3 or 4, could be said to be viable economically. The rest wait for federal allocation. And so therefore, the issues that we raise and try to give state creation as a solution to will not work, because creating new states that are unviable will only make money to go straight to governance, to maintaining, political structures. And in the end, very little will end up going to the people. And so therefore, if you ask me, honestly, I don't really believe that creating these new states, one per geopolitical zone, will actually, come with the expectations we are having now. Because the expectations are that there will be, governance will be easier, people will come, will have access to their leaders easier. And of course, if the existing states we're having are viable, then we wouldn't have raised the issues that led us to think that creating more states will solve them. Because some of these issues, resources, issue of, viability, issue of social services, all these issues can still be resolved without really the idea of creating states as a solution to it. So in fact, we need to focus on making the existing states more viable, look inwards. When these states are viable, we would not need to talk about creating a state as a solution to infrastructure problems. We wouldn't need to talk about that because states must not necessarily be created to address these issues that led to this discussion. So this is my humble opinion on this issue of state creation. I don't think it's necessary now, honestly.
Thank you very much, Dr. Yero. We'll take a short break now. This conversation will continue shortly. Don't go away.
The implementation of the ruling is also dependent on another aspect or another arm of government.
Nowhere in the world will allow under digital economy for banks not to be dispensing domestic currency in that economy.
What will make this one different? We want to know what they do as occupation. All of these are attributes that are questions have been designed to investigate.
In a few days to come, you see that they are all around their own crannies and everywhere in Nigeria, telling people to cooperate.
Welcome to Nigeria Today.
Welcome back. This is still Nigeria Today, and we are looking at the proposed creation of states. And I have two gentlemen, one via Zoom, one here in the studio. So, Dr. Abakahi, of course, you heard what Dr. Yeru said about his stand. This creation of state is not really the answer to the problem, you know. But then again, there should be states should be made viable, the existing states. Now, I would ask you, how would the creation of new states better the lives of Nigerians?
Well, definitely the creation of new states, if handled properly and equitably, you know, would lead to massive development in the country. Like I said earlier, it will, apart from the structures, it will lead to creation of additional local government, which will now bring development closer to the people. You know, it will lead, you know, to, you know, creation of, you know, Senate seats, more House of Reps seats that will now represent the people effectively. Those are some of the advantages, you know. But when we talked about the economic viability of these proposed states, can they sustain themselves? The answer is probably no. Go to the United States. Texas and California put together are larger than Nigeria in terms of geographical size. They are larger than, but they are 50 states. Both of them, like I said, they are larger than Nigeria. So if we have, currently we have 36 states, you know, I don't really see the necessity, you know, of creating probably another 31 states, you know, as being proposed. That is unnecessary. Let us utilize the resources we have in developing, and you see that also creation of additional states, it brings enmity. Look at what happened in the Southeast when River State was created. The issue of abandoned property came up. So, and it's quite likely it will come up again.
From what you're saying, are you in support of the creation of state or not? Because from what you're saying now...
From what I'm saying, truly, you know, I don't think it's necessary creating additional states. What we need to do is to create one more state for Southeast. That is all. We don't need to create additional states.
Okay, Dr. Yeru. Now, having talked about well, just like you said, the disadvantages, we know that from what Dr. Abaka said, he said there will be more space for more, he talked about senators, talked about House of Rep members. It seems to be that it's even more, will I say, beneficial to the politicians here when we talk about the creation of new states, because more opportunities for you to become a senator and all of that. But in your opinion, if properly handled, let's say, okay, some of these states become viable, what are the benefits of creating more states in Nigeria?
That's a very hypothetical question, but let's take it hypothetically. Yes, of course, when you have more states created, it's supposed to improve administrative efficiency. Of course, we have seen some examples of this administrative efficiency in creating more states in parts of Europe and even in India. But of course, since it's hypothetical, we also expect the creation of more states to give more voices to the people at the grassroots level, because by creating these states will have local governments, and these states will represent the views and opinions of the people of those states, and perhaps be able to escalate this to national issues. But very, very important and fundamental to this issue is the issue of minorities. And if you have a state today in some parts of this country, perhaps you may think, yes, it may address some minority issues. But again, you create a state and resolve a bigger minority issue, but you end up creating a more porous, minority issues within those states again. And I'm afraid it will not stop here, because more people will still say we need more states. And because we now felt we have an example to show and say, oh, it was done during President Tinubu, and it's the first time done under a democratic dispensation, considering how tedious the process is. Of course, it will open more doors to more agitations, especially on minority issues. But of course, it will also help, hypothetically, to address some of the minority issues that have been lingering in Nigeria, I think, since 1960s.
Thank you very much, Dr. Yero. So, Dr. Agbaka here, I don't know if you have anything to wrap up.
I agree with him in the area of ethnic marginalization. For example, if you go to the Idoma area of Benue State, it is common knowledge that you have Idomas in Cross River. You have Idomas in some part of Southeast. You see what I mean? So I think it will be very important, creation of states will also bring these ethnic groupings together in one particular state. And that is important. It's also applicable to some areas in the Southeast.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. George Agbaka, Public Affairs Analyst. Via Zoom, we had Dr. Aliyu Yero, also a Public Affairs Analyst. Thank you so much for coming on the program.
Thank you very much for having me.
And thank you for being part of the program. Don't forget, Nigeria Today airs every weekday at 7:30 p.m. on NTA News24. You can also check out this episode and others on www.youtube.com/NTA News24 Hub. I'm Victoria Clinton.